And welcome back to the CSS podcast. I'm your host, Dave. That gentleman there is Charlie, and this guy on the left is Sam. Together we're going to be bringing you the latest sports news from the Queen City. We have a great show for you today. The Bearcats and Xavier 2-0 this week. Al Golden to the Bengals. Well, we'll give you our odds and thoughts about the DC position. Our beloved Reds making moves to help the Dodgers? What's up with that? We'll tell you in the week that was. Plus, which team in the city has our confidence they can be a consistent winner? Who knows? You have to stick around and find out. And then finally, we will break down the big game on Monday night. Notre Dame Fighting Irish versus the Ohio State Buckeyes. We'll go through all the keys to the victory, and from there, we will let you know who we got. So stay tuned. And thank you for listening. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button so you know we're coming to you live on YouTube and in all of your podcasting platforms. So if you're ready, well, let's begin. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Not too bad. Can't complain.
It's good.
I can complain about the weather. It's not good. So it stinks. Arizona, please. I wish I was living there.
I hear you. I hear you loud and clear there. Arizona, Florida, somewhere where it's a little warmer. But I don't know. Let's dive right in. Last week we were in the blues, down in the dumpsters on UC and Xavier basketball because they couldn't get a win in the Big 12. Started out 0-4 this past week. 2 victories, bet Colorado and Arizona State, but they had to travel to Colorado. Tough place to play. They came out victorious there, came back home, and they did what they had to do in the Big 12 to be successful. You have to win on your home floor. And Xavier goes into Marquette. Big victory for them. So, things are looking better as we are, reaching Martin Luther King weekend and in the Cincinnati for our basketball team. So, thought on UC, gentlemen?
Good bounce back to get, go 2-0 here this week after starting league play 0-4. I still have a little concern with their offense moving forward. I didn't get a chance to watch the Colorado game, but I did watch the Arizona State game yesterday, and the first half was looking rough for the first 10 minutes. I think they only had 9 points through the first 10 minutes. Then they saw a couple buckets go in. Lukosius hit a couple threes, had a nice little shooter's bounce roll in. Jizzle James was getting into the lane, 2 feet in the paint, and whenever you have penetration like that, it really just opens up everything for your shooters. Just allows them to shoot over the closeouts, keeps them in rhythm a little bit. So that was good. I'd like to see them, score in the high 70s to 80s again instead of playing in the 60s. But on the same hand, Arizona State's a team that likes to get up and down the floor, and they really controlled the tempo. They played their style of basketball, which I do like to see, especially at home. If you can't play, your style of basketball at home, that's not real good. And so that shows me that their confidence is still there. Their belief is still there that they can get this turned around. So hopefully they can.
Charlie, what about you?
Yeah, a lot of the same feelings. Defensively, which is what they're staking their claim on. They're doing well. Every team they play doesn't score their average. Even the games that they lost, those 4 games, pretty much, they held the team quite a bit below their average. So from that standpoint, that's what's keeping them in games and ultimately won a couple games here. But I'm seriously concerned about their offense. It's just still not good. They go through way too many droughts, the 8-minute drought in the second half. Arizona State cuts it from 17-4 with a chance to even make it closer than that. Arizona State's not a good team. They are not good at all. They had 7 guys that literally, if they had to put it, when the guy got injured in the game, hurt his knee, they were going to have to pull a guy that had literally just started on the team 2 weeks ago. He hadn't played 1 second. I mean, they had nobody on the bench, and it still was a little bit too much of a struggle. So I want to see them beat a better team. Tuesday will be much more of a tell for me because they're playing Texas Tech. Texas has a much better team than Colorado or Arizona State. So we'll see how that goes. But again, the offense is still not good. I mean, I think would they shoot 37% overall, 30 somewhere in that area. So they still got a ways to go. They don't have an alpha still, and that person needs to step up. They haven't had to make a shot, at the end of the game in the Big 12 yet. So who will that person be? Last year it was Seamus, but we'll see who it is this year. So I'm looking forward to Tuesday, how that plays out because of, Texas Tech, I think is Texas Tech beat Iowa State on yesterday. So, they're a legitimate team. They've been good for years now. So let's see how that goes.
Yeah. So, that's, Wes made that bold prediction the other day where, he's taking receipts, all that good stuff about, you better be with us. If you're not with us, we'll remember that, all that stuff. And that's coach's talk, trying to fire up his team,
right.
Those type of things. I mean, obviously he's not going to piss off your fan base because you just don't want to do that around here. You got to win, and they're winning. So, things are looking brighter for UC. I did not watch any of the Xavier game against Marquette, but just reading about it in the paper, it seemed like Sean Miller said that was probably the best they played all year. And, you probably had to in order to go into Marquette and win that game.
It was their best win by far. So
right, by far.
It's easy to. You're going to say that when you're playing. If you beat the best team you play all season at their home court, it was the best game you play. I mean, that's like me saying the sky is not blue right now. I mean, that's not.
It's not blue in your place.
It's not. Absolutely not.
Snowing.
So,
Snowing.
It's the best game they played because they beat the best team they've played all year on their home court. If UC beats Texas Tech on Tuesday, that's the best win they've had in the Big 12 this year.
In the Big 12,
I'll say it right now. I'll predict it. That is the best win they've had.
Well, let's move on a little bit. We've got let's talk Bengals real quick. There's two things that I wanted to bring up, and I brought this up last week as a bold prediction, and then lo and behold, a few days later in the paper, it came out that the commissioners and the Bengals front office are in an impasse about the lease. They're both ticked off at each other. Surprise, surprise. And, they're trying to work it out and all this stuff because it's what the community wants. And, the Bengals don't want to move, but they haven't threatened it yet, but it's always on the back burner there. And, Troy Blackburn sent a couple of emails. The Inquirer had it out in the paper today where they just, back blaming them that they're not negotiating in good faith and not supporting the lease that was in 1997. And the Bengals or the county then came back and said, well, you breached your contract because you did not get our permission in writing about the naming rights. So it's a piston in the wind right now, seeing who's going to hold the upper edge. And I think the Bengals hold the upper edge for what they have and what they're trying to get. But first of all, thoughts on that, and then we'll talk a little bit about Al Golden. And so, just give me your thoughts on the lease here that's up next year.
I mean, I'll start because I'm going to go with the unpopular, voice of what I'm going to say with this. Yeah, absolutely. I want the Bengals to stay. There's only 32 NFL teams, and that's probably what there will be. There might be a 35 game season in the next few years, but there won't be more teams added at this point because they want the supply and demand. However, the Bengals lease is the worst lease in professional sports. And I don't live in Hamilton County, but I could in the future. But if I was a Hamilton County resident or a city of Cincinnati resident, I mean, the Bengals have the city agreed to this and the county agreed to it back in the day. But if I was the county, the city, whatever, I would not agree to that. I would not just say, hey, let's just roll that over into another 25-year lease. Forget that. I tell
Right.
the Bengals to take a flying F off the cliff if that's what they came to me with. It's put the city and the county into major issues with other things going on because of all the, nonsense. Mike Brown is now top 500, Forbes 500 now.
Mm-hmm.
His ass could pony up some money to put a better product on the field and off the field. So until he would give in on some things and the Bengals give on things, I would hold firm. The city, the residents will, yes, they're going to be pissed off. They want the Bengals, blah blah blah. But you make a reasonable argument that this is what it's done to us over these 30 years. Then the people, the people are going to understand that. And ultimately, if the Bengals want to stay, they'll make some concessions and it'll be a better lease going forward.
Yeah, I actually agree with you there, Crawley. I'm not a big proponent of billionaires funding their stadium projects via taxpayers. I think if you got a big bank like that, spend it, build your own stadium. There's several instances where guys have done that. Jerry Jones did it. Stan Kroenke did it. There's others. Other sports. Steve Ballmer did it in LA. So if you're really a big boy, prove it. Don't rely on the little guy, the Hamilton County taxpayers to do your stadium stuff. I think that should just be standard. I know the NFL's got a pool that all the owners, can try and pool from for stadium upgrades and new stadiums and stuff like that. But yeah, if you're living in Hamilton County, there's no way you should agree to a renewal of the lease as is, or even with certain conditions. You have to. The Bengals have to make major concessions because, like you said, they really raked Hamilton County over the coals with this, with the first time, I guess. So yeah, I've seen people on Twitter and everything saying, oh well, why don't they go up towards Kings Island, Warren County? And my issue is there's just less people up there, so they're going to get less tax dollars, and that seems to be the whole thing with Mike Brown is he doesn't want to spend his own money, which we've seen that for his entire life. So I don't know. It's a tricky spot. I'd hate to see the Bengals leave, but I don't live in Hamilton County anymore, so it's not really my issue personally. But if I did, I would vote against it. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think,
or would want my elected officials to vote against it, I guess I should say.
Yep. I would think that would be the way to go. So yeah. Right.
Because also, it's not bringing a Super Bowl here. They're not going to host a Super Bowl here with a stadium unless they dome it, and I don't think that they're going to want to dome it. So they're not going to host a draft. They're not going to host a Super Bowl. There's no Final Fours coming. None of that other stuff that you can get if you build a world-class stadium. You're not getting that here. So there's really no sense in doing it.
Right. So we've got a couple of things here as we're moving forward. And talking about the DC coordinator, Al Golden, right? There was a couple of speculations out there.
You're the Hamilton County resident.
Who, me?
What's your take?
What's my thing? I don't want the Bengals to move, obviously, but I also don't want to be gouged as well. When the stadium was built, I wasn't a Hamilton County resident, so it really didn't matter. But I think they need to come to an agreement soon, because you don't want them to threaten to move, and then the commissioners will say, balk at that or not balk at it, and acquiesce to everything that the Bengals wanted, like the last time. So hopefully they can work it out and get things moving in the right direction so that the Bengals can be here. Because the report said that the Bengals wanted $30 million or $300 million for 5 years. lease. And the commissioners were like, that's not enough of a return on our investment for 5 years. So we'll see. We'll see where they're at. So let's move on to 2025, and Al Golden's name has been popping up. I think he's the guy. I don't know what you guys think, but because since they haven't named somebody yet, and they didn't interview any of the two guys like Dennis Allen or Robert Saleh, who you would think would get interviews. Since they haven't named anybody yet, I'm thinking they're waiting until the NCAA, till Notre Dame is in Ohio State's game after Monday night, and Tuesday morning we might get an announcement. What do you guys think?
Sure. I mean, it's a classic Bengals move to pick somebody they're familiar with. Is that the best choice? I don't know. I mean, he's doing a good job with Notre Dame. It's a college team. He has experience in the NFL. He's been pretty successful wherever he's at because he's been he was a head coach and actually had success at Temple, which is a minor miracle. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I just know it's classic because they're picking someone they're familiar with. I would not be upset at all if they went completely off the board and picked someone that we were not familiar with and brought totally new ideas in. And usually it'll show up on site. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's the lack of noise that we're hearing around it. It kind of signifies to me that they've already got their guy. And from the names that we've heard them already say, with Graham out in Las Vegas, if it was him, they'd already hired him. So I just don't think that that it's going to be them. So I do think Al Golden is going to end up being the guy that they settle on. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if come Tuesday or Wednesday, it's officially announced. As far as my thoughts on that, I mean, he's been with the team before. I think he was the linebacker coach or something like that.
Yeah, I think he was.
And I mean, he got Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt paid, so I guess he must have done a halfway decent job at that. He's done a really good job at Notre Dame as the DC. So I mean, it's not the worst hire in the world. Could have done better. I know you said Soledad. Seems like he's getting head coaching interviews, so for him that's going to take priority. And I could see why the Bengals wouldn't want to wait around on that. So yeah, I think Al Golden's going to be the name, and I think we'll hear it sometime early this week.
Yep. Got a little technical difficulty here. We're having a hard time hearing you guys coming through the board. So hopefully, the producer's here now. He's going to try to figure it out. But if not, we apologize for the sound quality, and we're working on it feverishly over here at the studio. So give us a little grace, please. All right. Moving forward, the Reds made a big announcement. Surprise, surprise, right? It's typical Reds.
Stop. Don't use the word big announcement. They made an announcement.
TV broadcasting
this would get. Oh, I thought you meant the player. Okay.
Oh, no, that's next.
Okay, I was going to say that ranks right there with we're using a different brand of peanuts this upcoming season. So,
hey, they might. You never know. You can get some really good peanuts outside of the stadium.
Same level.
You get the big bags outside the stadium for $3, and you get these little tiny bags for $5 inside the stadium. So maybe the Reds might be on something, Carly. But no, the Reds made surprise an announcement that they're back with FanDuel Sports Network for the broadcasting rights. So it's a little bit better deal than what they gave back when Bally's went bye-bye. But they're on. You'll be able to watch them. The good thing is you'll be able to stream them, so you don't need cable. Whereas before you needed an internet provider or a cable provider, those type of things, if you wanted to watch it through Spectrum. But now you can actually buy the app, FanDuel, download the app, and then you can get a monthly subscription. Thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm fine with it. Kind of see what the price point is that they come up with. because I'm not really interested in paying $20 a month for the Reds, but I think I'd do $7.99, $8.99 a month. I think I would pay that. Now, if, ownership made a couple big trades, a couple more free agent signings, showed that they were trying to win, I think I'd be willing to pay a higher price point. But we'll see where all that shakes out. I mean, as far as the actual provider goes, I don't really care who they're getting the money from as long as they're getting money. Be interested to see. I'm assuming they'll bring back the same TV crew. I'm assuming Sadak will be back. Larkin will be back. So we'll see. I don't really want any new announcers. I like Sadak. I know he can get a little too excitable at times, but for the most part, I think he does a really good job. So I'd like to hear him when I watch the games.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought I saw like $80 like in their other markets that they used last year. There was like $80 for the season, something like that. So
okay, so it's like a per season model.
Well, you can buy. It looked like there was a monthly price, a season price, and a yearly price or something. So
gotcha.
But I thought that's what it said. So that's what I'm guessing it would be, and for $80 over the course of 8 months or whatever, I would probably pay that.
Yeah, I would too. So, I think it's a good deal. Good move for the Reds.
But it looks like it's only 1 year. Like what I've heard is for sure not happening deal after 1 year. So I don't know what's almost the point. But
maybe Major League Baseball then will have something.
Well, they probably don't want to be locked into any. I mean, it's kind of jumping the gun here, but I mean, there's going to be a lockout in 2 years, so maybe they don't want to jump the gun on any of that stuff. Let's do a 1 year and another 1 year type deal. Because the lockout's coming, guys. I don't know. I don't know if you've seen the reaction to what the Dodgers are doing, but there's no way there's not a lockout coming.
Yep. So let's talk about that real quick. In the promo, we said that the Reds are helping the Dodgers, and what they did was they traded some international signing money, about $1 million, for an outfield prospect. Looks like it's Arnaldo Lantiga, and the Reds, because of that freed up some money for the Dodgers to go and purchase the Japanese pitcher, and then just today they signed the Padres closer for $75 million. It's just like, when is the commissioner going to step in and say, hey, this is not good for the game of baseball? That's my question.
He's not. He's a pansy. He's not going to do anything. He's awful.
Well, it's not. I don't think the other teams all that much care. I don't think Bob Castellini cares. If he cared, he would do something about it. He'd spend some money himself. It's not like there's half the league that's trying to compete with the Dodgers in terms of spending, and they're not. So I think he's under marching orders from the owner saying, just let it roll, and we'll deal with it in 2 years.
Yep. So an interesting note on that: the Dodgers payroll is 300 and what? 75 million.
Yep.
Now, and Bob Castellini is worth like 400 million.
Yeah.
Even though the Reds is worth more than that, but his part and what he's worth, because the Reds have like 18 owners, and that's why we can't freaking really do anything, because they have to sign off on everything and this and that, and they don't want to reinvest their money into the Reds, and I think that's a ploy by Dick Williams, because they own.
They actually own more than They own more than Castellini's do.
But the Williams family, it's not just an individual. Yeah, and I think they're just getting back at them.
I'm not giving the ownership a Reds ownership an out. So
Oh, no, I'm not either. And
it's not just the Reds. I mean, Pirates aren't doing anything. Cardinals aren't. I mean, nobody in other than the Cubs, nobody's doing anything. The Brewers haven't hardly done anything. So it's not just a Reds thing. I mean, vast majority of the MLB is doing nothing. So, and that's why I agree with Sam. I said in 2 years, I hope there is a reckoning. There needs to be something.
There does.
Because, the Dodgers are, right now, they should print the NL West division
Oh yeah,
championship shirts right now.
yeah.
I mean, it's maybe for the next 5 years, 10 years. I mean, it's no one can compete with that team over the course of 162 games. Now in the
No,
playoffs,
because yeah,
did you get a wild break here and there?
yeah.
Guys injured. I mean, their whole starting rotation was injured last year. So the Diamondbacks and the Rangers 2 years ago, which I was looking online, and that's what all the Dodger fans keep bringing up. Well, the Diamondbacks made it 2 years ago. Like, what do you do? Quit crying and stuff. Well, yes, but the Dodgers are guaranteed to be in the playoffs every single year,
Right.
with probably the best record in the National League. So they're always going to have home field advantage, and that's the case. So, but whatever number of weeks ago we did the what team would you wish you root for? I picked the Dodgers. I'd love to know my team was going to be in the playoffs every single year and that they would spend $375 million. So I don't blame the Dodgers. I blame Major League Baseball. I blame the other 29 owners more than I blame the Dodgers. If we were a Dodger fan, we'd be loving it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I blame the other 29 owners more than I blame the Dodgers.
And why can't we be creative
And
like
the commissioner,
right?
Well, that's the main thing for me is how are they the only ones doing these deferred payments? Like, yeah, I know the Reds technically they did one with Griffey back in the day.
Yeah, 5 years ago.
Right. But like why have they not done anything recently? Why the Dodgers are the only team that seems like that are doing this. And so are the players the only willing to do it for the Dodgers, or does it have to do with their ownership group? Because their ownership group is tied into the hedge funds or whatever, and so that's where that's another thing too with just how they're able to do these deferred payments is they're skirting the escrow rules. They're not putting the money in escrow; they're investing it. And so while I'd hate to have a player not be able to get his money, I do think it would be quite hilarious if a little recession comes and then Shohei doesn't get his $700 million anymore. I would find that kind of comical. But
$680 million, I think it is.
Right? Yeah, exactly. It would be a little funny, but I mean, that's what's frustrating. Like you can't hate them because they're playing by the rules and they're being smarter than everybody else about it. But it just shows like you can't. Like every sports team in America has a salary cap to for competitive balance purposes, which whatever you want, like it does help. The NFL has the most parity of any sports league outside of like 2 franchises because their owners are just dumbasses. But outside of that, anybody's got a chance any year really. And if you look in Europe, they don't have salary caps, but you know what they do have? They have promotion relegation, which forces these bottom feeders to actually spend money if they want to keep playing with the big boys. So MLB's they've got to do one of those two. They've either got to do a salary cap or they've got to adopt a promotion relegation type system.
Yeah. I think the salary floor. I would love to see.
Well, yeah, that would tie in with the salary cap, a salary floor.
But I'm saying you wouldn't even, if you don't do a salary cap, you do a salary floor. Now, most of the owners wouldn't go for that. Dodgers would go for that. They're okay with spending over, whatever. But imagine if you had $150 million salary floor. Then if Bob Castellini and his group of nobodies couldn't afford players, they'd have to sell. Get the hell out of here. Bring Mark Cuban in. Bring somebody else in that's willing to spend money. You can't play with the big dogs in Major League Sports. Why do you buy a Major League Sports team if you don't want to win? I don't get that. I don't get it either. Like, because
that's the whole point. That's the bragging rights.
Yeah, why do you not? I mean, if I had the money to buy a Major League Sports team, in any sport, it'd be like my toy, and I'd be like, I'm want to win no matter what. Like, why? I don't understand. I don't understand why anybody would buy a team not wanting to win. It doesn't make sense to me.
Let's be fair. He did put that letter out when he bought the team.
Right, yeah. Here's a bucket of popcorn too. So that just doesn't make sense to me. So I'd love for them to sell to someone who's willing to spend the money on the field. And again, it's not a Reds thing. If it was just the Reds, that sort of thing, then that'd be different. But if I'm a Pittsburgh fan, I'm saying the exact same thing. I mean, they haven't spent money. They spent less
they're worse
money
than the Reds.
Yeah. The Cardinals fans I'm sure are going nuts right now because they're doing absolutely nothing. So, I mean, it's across Major League Baseball. So that tells you there's issues. And yeah, Manfred and his office are basically their head in the sand because they have whatever nonsense they're trying to figure out. So, they have a lot of problems. And meanwhile, the viewership keeps going down. becomes more and more regionalized. Only people that have teams care about those teams. Somebody who does, somebody in Iowa doesn't give a crap about baseball. Somebody, so that you just get that issue too. So.
Yeah. There's a lot of things baseball's going to have to figure out.
Well, the other thing, I wanted to bring up when you guys were saying regulation, salary cap, salary floor. The other thing that might happen, and I know Manford talked about it, is expanding the playoffs, right? So now instead of
no,
yeah, I know,
please,
but it's going to cut the NBA, water down everything. But this way,
right.
Hey, even small market teams have an opportunity if they finished in the top half, right? If you take half from the National League, half from the American League.
All that means you can just spend less money to be mediocre and still make the playoffs.
Yep.
Right. But I would say the owners would vote for that first before they would vote for salary cap.
I agree with you. And that gives them more
but,
chance to spend less.
Right. Exactly. So
yeah, I agree with you.
That's enough on that. That's enough of that. Let's move forward. Did we give our odds on Golden making it as the what do you think your odds are?
I have no idea.
I think it's about 70% he's going to be the defensive coordinator next year.
Oh, I mean, I'm 99. I think it's set in stone.
Okay.
I think that's their guy. I'd be shocked if it's not him.
Unless they just get throttled Monday night.
I don't think that. I think that's irrelevant. Honestly, I really do. That Mike Brown's not even going to be awake to watch that game. So.
All right. We'll move forward before we get in trouble here on the show. We're going to do our confidence ranking. We're going to rank the 6 Cincinnati teams that has our confidence in order from 1 to 6.
Do you think he even knows the game's on Monday? Do you think he probably still thinks it was last week?
No,
he thinks it already happened.
He knows. He's still sharp, son. I mean, he's still sharp. He's got that lawyer in him, so he's sharp. All right, but anyhow, we're gonna rank the confidence rankings. So from 6 to 1, 6 being the least confidence that this team will bring back, winning to the team. Charlie, it was your idea. Why don't you go ahead and explain what we're trying to accomplish here?
Yeah, so just looking at the local teams. So our 6, right? 6, yes, 6 local teams. Xavier and UC basketball, UC football, FC Cincinnati, Reds, Bengals. Who do we have? And for 2025, who do we have the most confidence in to the least confident in for success on the field? For, if we want to say winning a championship, I don't know if we have confidence in any of them for that. Probably not. So, but having positive results, more positive than negative results on the field, who do we have the most confidence in 1 through 6 of those, with our 6 local professional teams,
and then we'll
6
go
local teams, not professional, but
we'll go reverse order. Who's the least down to
that's fine. Yeah.
Best. So, all right. So who do you have as your number 6?
Should be a clean sweep, guys.
Are you asking me
first?
Oh, I don't know. I have the Reds.
You got the Reds?
Oh,
yep.
Wow.
Woo.
Wow.
I have no faith in the Reds.
Dang.
I love the Reds. If it was who do I want to win of all 6 teams, I want the Reds to win the most out of all 6 teams. But
you don't have faith.
I have no faith in the ownership, Nick Kroll, even with Francona. Again, what team going into a season that wants success doesn't get a player that is to meet their biggest need? That wouldn't exist. The Dodgers have 15 players that have met their biggest need at this point. One need. They have 15 guys. The Reds go into the season still not getting a guy to fit their biggest need. They get a guy, Gavin Lux, who is just another infielder, another guy. They have 15 of those guys. And their best minor league players an infielder. And if you count Marte, their 2 best minor league players are infielders. So you're telling me you have any faith that the Reds are going to have real success in the field? None. I have none.
Okay. Sam?
UC football for me, just because the guy calling plays. And
that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. UC
I think
football.
there's way more volatility in the Big 12 and in college football than there is in Major League Baseball, which, as we've just talked about for the last 15
I do too, but for
minutes,
2025,
so
2025.
if we were looking a 5-year picture, I probably with you, Carly. It's probably the Reds, but for 2025, I think UC football gets worse before they get better.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not.
I hope I'm wrong.
But yeah.
I'm not going to be wrong. You guys might be wrong. I'm not going to be wrong.
We might have to have a little wager on this one. Who's
talking about real success. I'm not talking about 500. I'm talking about David Bell's success.
Yep.
Where you're 82
Playoffs.
80 and all, let's put that up as a great season, kind of thing. So
okay. So basically we're looking at playoffs for the Reds.
Minimum, yes.
UC football.
8 wins for UC football.
Playoffs, man. We're going playoffs. We're going playoffs.
Well, if they win the Big 12.
Because
okay, so that means the Reds that would mean the Reds have to win the World Series because that's comparable to making the college football playoff.
No, it's not. There's 12 freaking teams. There'll probably be 16
out of 140.
So there's only
how many major league? Right. So figure out the percentage there.
Damn playoffs, anyhow. I mean, it had an opportunity to. So it's no, we're going playoffs. Then
I'm still saying the Reds.
March Madness, and then playoffs for FC Cincy, right? That's what we're talking about it for success. Success.
I'm going Reds.
Okay. All right. Who's your 5 then? You going Bengals? Because they haven't made the playoffs twice.
I'm not going Bengals. I'm going on this one. I'm going this one. I'm going UC football.
Oh!
Well, I got to ring somebody 5th.
We go 6, you go 5. It's
right. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm confident that UC football is going to win the national championship. I'm just more confident because of volatility in college football that they have a better chance of being better than the Reds
this year. Okay.
Yes, that's all.
All right. Sam, who do you got?
This is where I've got the Reds.
So what we're saying is we don't have comments on either one of those teams. That's what we're saying.
I've got Xavier basketball.
Not with Sean Miller.
I do, just because with the portal, they go in and out. Look at them now. I mean, yeah, they won 2 games. Yeah, they're going to get better, but if he's bringing in 10 more guys every year, it's tough. So that's I don't think they're going to succeed as well as they have done in the past. That's my 5. Number 4.
4, I think, it's right. I have Xavier basketball.
Yeah, I have Xavier in the 4 as well.
I've got UC basketball. So just because they're in the Big 12. Right.
Yeah.
That's why. And their offense is
putrid
bad right now. Number 3.
This is where I have UC basketball. I put UC basketball above Xavier just because of his talent. I mean, Wes Miller's getting talented players.
He is.
Not coaching them up like he should be and whatever's going on. But, I mean, next year he's got 2 top 40 guys coming in. And, he'll pull in a couple good transfers. I'm sure he will.
Let me ask you this, Carly. If Sean Miller had UC's roster right now, what would they be? Where would they be?
They'd be better than they are.
I mean,
yeah. Oh, Sean Miller's a better coach than Wes Miller.
Yeah.
In terms of coaching.
So
is he a better recruiter? Is he a better that part of it? I don't know. Wes is doing pretty well there. But on the court coaching
right now, where would he be at? Would he be 4-2? Or 3-3?
I'd say at least 3-3. Maybe 4-2. I mean, they were in it with Kansas 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they lose to Kansas State.
It's close.
Yeah, I don't think they lose that. My big one would be Villanova. The Villanova game, I think he'd have pulled that one out. But I mean, we're on 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got UC basketball here as well. Just, I mean, essentially what Carly said, 2 top 40 players, going to have some returning guys. So hopefully, they would take that step. That he's always going to pull in a top 40 transfer as well. So I mean, there's a very good chance that Wes Miller pulls in a top 10, top 15 overall class. So I mean, in college basketball, that type of recruiting can really hide your deficiencies as a coach. So, I mean, we saw it with Calipari for years. That dude can't coach. He couldn't coach if it was 6-on-5. He's an awful coach, but he's a great used car salesman. So, I mean, that's the role sometimes.
All right, so this might be a big of a shock for people, but I've got the Bengals as my number 3 team.
We are not close here.
Yeah, just because
haven't said the Red Jack.
they haven't drafted anybody worth a hoot. I mean, Mims, they hit on Mims, but if it doesn't fall in their laps, they haven't developed players very well. Their defense is horrible. Are they going to fix that? Are they going to sign T? Are they going to sign Chase? Those are big questions going into 2025, and how much of a distraction is that going to be? And I know Zach said they're going to change what they're going to do to come out in September ready to go, but are they? Don't know. They missed the playoffs twice. Once Burrow was injured. Another time Burrow and Chase had career years, but yet the defense, all but Trey Hendrickson, who had a career year. Burrow can't win it all. The defense has to improve tremendously, and I don't know if they do. And that's because I don't think they're drafting. I don't think they're going to draft defensive players, quality defensive players early. That's me. So that's 3. That's my 3. All right, number 2. Who do you got?
Number 2, I have FC Cincinnati. I'm definitely a little worried, more than I was in the last couple of years going to the season. I mean, they've got these 3 guys that haven't shown up yet, 3 core players. Orjano showed up yesterday, or at least is in Cincinnati at least. I don't know what's going on with Kubo. I haven't heard, and not even heard. And then Acosta, they're basically, I mean, we're about ready to send him packing anyway. I mean, he's just bailing on him under contract. Noonan, like he should have, came out right, and again, David Bell wouldn't say this if you gave him $2 billion to say this. He called him out and said, you're under contract. You're supposed to be playing for the team. Be here. Which is exactly the truth. So I'm a little worried. I just have faith in Pat Noonan and the front office more than any other of these sports teams. If these things were going on any other teams, I would probably pull them down their rankings, but I'm not pulling FC Cincinnati down because by far, they have the best management / head coach of any of these of any of the coaches and front offices of the 6 teams. So I think they'll figure it out.
Now, isn't it who'd you say who just showed up?
Orjano.
I think that he didn't he just have a baby, and that was part of the reason why he wasn't there. Is what
I don't know.
I heard.
I feel like if that was the case, they would have not.
Right, called him out.
I don't know the way. Yeah, the way that they said it.
Right.
They made it seem like he was supposed to be there.
When, I don't know, but a good friend of mine told me that, and he also told me he follows a lot of soccer, not just MLS, but international soccer as well. So do you guys, and so I was listening to him, but he said Brennan is actually still under UC's or FC Cincy's contract because the team that he went over to overseas to play cut him.
Are you talking about Brenner? Is that Brenner, or are you talking about, or did he say Barreal?
No, he said. I thought he said
Barreal is still under FC Cincinnati contract.
I thought he said Brennan or Brenner or whatever it was.
So if it's Brenner, if they cut him, he wouldn't be under contract. It would be if he comes to MLS, FC Cincinnati would have his rights.
Yeah, that's what he said. Sorry.
So which typically what would happen? Say he wanted to come to MLS, they would just sell his rights to another team, and it'd be a transfer.
That's what Barreal's situation is. Also.
Yeah, Barrial's kind of the same way. He was on loan, so he was still an FC player last year, just on loan to whoever in South America. It's over. He He's technically an FC player again. Whether he's going to actually suit up and play for us, I doubt it. I don't see a path back for him.
And I heard too, Dallas offered $16 million for Acosta, straight up cash.
Yeah, go on, Sam.
I was gonna say, I mean, that'd be great, but Acosta has to take it. It kind of seems like his whole thing is he doesn't want to be in the United States anymore. He wants to be back in Argentina. Kind of seems like it's some family things going on there. His family wants to be back there. So, I mean, that would make no sense from his perspective. If you're Cincinnati, though, you say yes, you get them to sign right now, and wire you the money right now, because Acosta's probably not playing for FC again. Yep. So,
who's your number 2 there, Sam?
My number 2 is the Bengals. I can't put them at 1. Just I don't trust the front office enough. I mean, when you have the guy at quarterback, they can only be knocked down so low. I don't think Joe Burrow is going to let another season like this happen again where they miss the playoffs. I think that they will sign/draft a couple guys on defense and the interior offensive line, and they'll get it figured out. It's more so confidence in the guys that they have rather than the front office.
My number 2, FC Cincinnati as well. I just think that with Acosta up in the air, I don't know what this new guy coming in, if he's going to be able to replace the goals. Hopefully he can. Where are they going to score? Because they had a lot of trouble scoring last year. So I have confidence in Noonan. I have confidence in that front office that they're going to make the moves that need to be made. But I just don't know if they're going to have the firepower to succeed. Go make a deep run. All right, so that brings us to our number 1, Crowley.
The team I haven't said yet, the Bengals. And it's because of one person. It literally is because of one person, Joe Burrow. And I know he had a career this year and they didn't make the playoffs, but they were still 9-8 with maybe the worst defense that the Bengals have ever had. They can't be as bad as they were this year. That's what I'm counting on.
That's what we said last year.
Well, no, the Bengals defense was significantly better 2 years ago than this past year.
Yeah.
So they can't be as bad as they were this past year. They got a new defensive coordinator, and again, I'm not a Lou hater. I'm not Lou was terrible. I blame it on the front office, which is still in place, which is obviously going to a concern, definitely a concern. But I'm still going to go with the Bengals. They have of any position in all of sports, they have a top 3, if not higher, player. When you have that player, you're always going to have a chance. And so, for me, that puts them over every other team in Cincinnati, because there is no other alphas in Cincinnati, especially if Acosta's gone from FC Cincinnati, because he's their alpha and he's gone. The Reds, Ellie De La Cruz can only do so much as one player on a team. And UC doesn't have an alpha. Xavier doesn't have one, except the one dude who scored 34 points in the last game. So that, to me, that, because of the importance of the quarterback position and Burrow, how good he is and can be, and could even be better. Again, if he didn't have a great 2, 3, 4 games, first couple games, so he can even be better. I'm putting them most confident in performing above expectations this year.
It's that 13-4 that Sam said. So you better mark that down, Carl. Sam,
if you were to put a comparable record, 13-4, what's that in baseball? What's 13-4 in baseball? 100 wins?
Yeah, 100 wins.
Okay. Yeah. And for Bearcats, it'd be 10 wins at least.
10 wins.
For FC Cincinnati, it'd be 25 wins or 28 wins or something. If you were to say, and this is why I'm picking the Bengals. If I had to pick a comparable 13-4 record across the 6 teams, the Bengals by far, I'm the most confident to get to that 13 or that percentage of a win percentage. No way are the Reds winning 100. No way. No way is the Bearcats. I'd love them to. No way are they winning 10 games. Okay. No way is FC Cincinnati winning 28 or 27 or 28. in this season, this upcoming season. So to me, yes, it would not shock me, and it would not shock any of you guys if the Bengals won 13. We'd be surprised. I don't think they'll win 13, but we wouldn't be shocked.
Sam?
So there we go.
Oh, my one is FC Cincinnati. I know, this offseason hasn't been great with, some of the no-shows. But they did, they broke the MLS transfer record. So they're here to play. The ownership group is not messing around. They saw a need last year at striker. So they went out and got one. Kevin Denke is young. He's 23. So to bring somebody like that over from Europe is huge, in my opinion. That's not a move that most guys would make. So, they're ponying up the money to get him to do that. And if they do have to sell Acosta, Orejano, Kubo, they're the front office that I trust the most to actually replace those guys. The Bengals, if they lose T. Higgins, they're not replacing him. They're just, okay, hopefully Yoshi's the guy. Maybe Burton will screw his head on right when he wakes up every morning.
Hope.
That exactly.
What a strategy.
They hope. That is their strategy. I trust FC Cincinnati would then go out and identify a young guy, probably in South America. That seems to be their pipeline right now for young talent. And they bring him in, and they wouldn't be, there's this 19-year-old from Fort Thomas in our academy. That's who we're trotting out there to replace Acosta. So that I trust their front office and head coach the most out of anybody.
All right. My number one is in Terry. I trust Francona.
Ridiculous.
Hey,
that's ridiculous.
That's fine. You guys can laugh at me all you want, but
I hope you're right. Like I said, if I had to pick, if you could say you can have one of these teams win the World Series, yeah, the Reds are my number one pick. I know they're not Sam's. I figured you would have somebody else. I figured you have the Bengals.
No, Reds.
Yeah, I'd have the Reds, but I just don't. I think there are so many things working against the Reds that it just won't happen.
The one saving grace I will say is, Francona, Hall of Fame manager. He knows how to get players to play. He is a player's manager, but he's also an old school player's manager who will rake you over the coals if he needs to. You look at his track record in Cleveland, similar market, similar budget. Now their front office is a lot better, but they got rid of star players in their prime, and Francona still went on and won 90 plus games, division, made playoffs. That's what I'm banking on. I'm banking on LA taking a big jump. I hate the fact that McLean and CES did not get to play much last year before their injuries. McLean, not at all. CES, barely. I don't like the fact that those two guys are the hope, right? Are right-handed power. But that's if, and it's a big if McLean's McLean, we're going to be fine. If CES is CES, we're going to be fine. The outfield, I'm still a little about the outfield, but I think Francona can he will play the platoon system the way the platoon system is supposed to be played, unlike David Bell, unlike Tinkerbell. And, it's just one of those things that I think the Reds front office, I know they haven't done a ton, but they did make some moves to improve this team. And I know that there's still people out there that they can go get, and maybe they're waiting until closer to spring training when people start panicking, and you never know, we might get Santander for a 1-year deal. Don't know, a prove-it deal, who knows? But I think Francona, with what he has right now and where the National League Central is, the Cubs are the only ones, but the Cubs are the Cubs. I mean, they're going to they might screw it up. I like our chances. I like our chances for the division, just with Francona. Call me crazy, but I got to go with the Reds.
I mean, this whole thing was just Francona based. It had nothing to do with the players, nothing to do with the front office. I mean,
you really hated David Bell. If this is your, really,
David Bell was not very good.
it's Francona, and how many wins is a manager going to do when you don't have very good talent on the field?
Well, but if McClain comes back and he is
this is hope as a strategy. This is their only strategy.
I'm just saying, if McClain comes back, that's
Which I'm fine hoping on McClain. I think he's going to recover fine. My issue is hoping on the corner outfielders. None of them have ever done anything to give you any hope to begin with. So why are you hoping that Will Benson and Jake Fraley turn in?
Will Benson will not be on the team.
Or Jake Fraley is going to turn into some 25 homer, 270 great defensive outfielder.
He batted 268 this year
with 2 homers.
Right. He was very poor. He was way below average.
And he's not a good fielder.
And no Major League Baseball team will do anything. Sure, can they get in at 84 and 78? Maybe, sure, into the playoffs because it's so watered down now. But that's it. If you have Stuart Fairchild on your roster, you are not doing anything in the playoffs. It's the bottom line.
All right, you're killing me. You crushed my dreams. Come on now. All right. Let's move on. I hope you like that segment. Let us know your
we should review just each of us individually, just go through them, because if somebody's listening to this, we were so scattered all over the place. They're not going to have any clue what we each said.
All right, let's review. Carly, who do you got 6 through 1?
Okay. So 6 through 1. Reds, UC football, Xavier basketball, UC basketball, FC Cincy, and Bengals.
Sam.
Mine was UC football, the Reds, Xavier basketball, UC basketball, Bengals, and then FC Cincinnati.
All right, and mine was UC football, Xavier basketball, UC basketball, Bengals, FC Cincy, and the Reds.
So all three of us have a
different
team, different number 1.
We'll see. I mean, hey, it might be a drink come 2026. Who knows? All right, let's move on to our trivia real quick. Last week I gave, it's the 2025 is the anniversary for the Reds. There's a lot. There's a 80th, the 40th, and the guys answered them all correctly. So if you want to know that, go back and listen to last week's episode. Sam, I think you have the trivia question this week. So go ahead.
It's a little college basketball trivia here. So I want you to name the schools that have had multiple Wooden Award winners. Now, it can be the same person a couple of times.
It can be.
But it can be.
Okay.
But each school that has at least multiple trophies in their trophy case.
When did that
winners.
Award start?
It started in the 1976-77 season.
Okay. I was going to say that eliminates all those UCLA guys from the 60s. Right.
I'm going to say Purdue.
Purdue is correct. They have 3.
Glenn Robinson.
And Edie won it twice. So 3 total trophies.
Okay.
Kentucky.
How many are there, first of all?
Kentucky is on there, yes. Let me count real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 11. Kentucky is one there. They had Anthony Davis and Oscar Tshiebwe.
Goodness. I would not have guessed Oscar Tshiebwe. And that was only like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
LSU?
LSU is not one of them, no.
But maybe Shaq and Chris Jackson. But
weren't they on the same team?
think Chris Jackson was a little later.
And neither one of those guys won one.
Yeah.
Well, Marcus Camby won it.
Yeah, but
Marcus
that was
Camby did win one.
That was UMass.
That's
They wouldn't have-
UMass.
They wouldn't
Yeah,
have a
I
second guy.
Yeah, but that's only one.
Yeah.
Tim Duncan from Wake Forest.
It would
I don't
have to be
think
like Duncan and Chris Paul or something.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but
I don't know.
neither or Duncan did, but Chris
Yeah.
Paul did not.
What about Florida?
Florida, nope. Florida's not.
IU.
IU, believe it or not, is not.
And I
They
didn't
just
think,
have one.
who is it? Edwards? No,
Cheney.
Cheney. Yeah,
Yep.
Calvert Cheney.
Yep.
I didn't know if Kent Benson
Oh,
won it.
Duke's got to be in there.
Duke.
Duke.
Yeah,
Duke is actually Duke has the most with 6.
I was going to say, wait a
So,
minute here.
yeah.
There's got to be an obvious one that we're not saying here.
North Carolina.
North Carolina is also one. Yep, they have. I believe they have 4. UConn is not. No.
Villanova.
Villanova.
Probably not. Those guys weren't
I don't
like
think so. No.
stars.
Villanova just has 1.
Gonzaga.
Nope.
Arizona.
Arizona. Nope.
Ooh, I thought Sean Elliott and the big guy.
No, I would have thought the guy that when they won the national championship, Miles Simon, maybe.
Nope. Sean Elliott is the only.
Ohio State.
No.
Nope.
Greg Oden.
Kansas.
Kansas. There you go.
Kansas. Yes, there you go. Kansas.
Danny Manning.
Danny Manning and Frank Mason. They've only have 2, surprisingly.
Wisconsin.
Nope.
Ohio State.
Nope.
I'll say
Let's
UC has
see.
1. I was trying to figure out if they had somebody in the Huggin, in the earlier Huggin years, but I don't think so.
They don't. Nope. Just 1.
What about UCLA?
There's
I mean,
UCLA. UCLA does have. They have 2 technically. So
who are they?
Ed O'Bannon.
Ed O'Bannon.
And where'd the first one go? First one was the very first one. Marquise Johnson.
Marquise Johnson. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. You would think.
So you're missing one school went back to back in the early 80s. Same player.
Georgetown.
Oh,
Nope.
Georgetown. No, not
Nope.
Syracuse.
Not Georgetown. Not Syracuse. Nope.
St. John's.
Big tall guy. St. John's is an answer. That's not who I was looking for.
Chris
That
Mullen.
was Chris Mullen and Walter Berry, and they did go back to back.
Oh, you mean
But this was before this. Start of the 80s. Same player went back to back.
Oh, Ralph.
Ralph Sampson. Yep, there you go.
Ralph
Virginia.
Sampson. I was already say Navy with
David Robinson.
David Robinson, but he probably didn't win more than.
You are missing 3 schools, and all 3 have ties to the Big 12 as of right now. So interpret that how you want to.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma is one of them. Yep.
William Tisdale.
No,
Or
Blake Griffin and Buddy Hield.
Oh, Buddy Hield. That's right.
Yep.
Wow.
Oklahoma. We already said Kansas. Texas.
Yep. TJ Ford and Kevin Durant.
Mm-hmm.
And you got one left. A current. These guys are a current Big 12 school.
Baylor.
It's not Baylor. Nope.
Not Iowa State.
No.
Nebraska.
Arizona State, Colorado.
Oklahoma.
No, none of those. Utah. Keith Van Horn and somebody.
It's not Utah.
It's a good one.
Was Keith Van Horn? Did he win that year?
That
That might have been a UK year. That might have been Anthony Davis or somebody.
No, it was not Keith Van Horn.
Indiana State. Larry Bird.
They've just got one.
Yeah, I know.
So Michigan State is not one, I guess.
Larry Bird's future pro teammate does have something to do with the answer
BYU?
here. There you go. It is BYU. Yep. Danny Ainge and Jimmer Fredette.
Oh God! I didn't realize Danny Ainge won the Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That must have been a bad year for college basketball.
What was the song for Jimmer?
Teach me how to Jimmer.
Of course, Jimmer for that winning it must have been. It was a bad year for college basketball too. So,
Say what?
I said those years must have been down years in college basketball for either one of them.
BYU made the Elite Eight that year.
Like
with Fredette or with Danny Ainge?
With Fredette, yeah.
Oh, they did.
I don't know about with Ainge. I'll see if I can find the stats here.
They went pretty far, I think. Because, I mean, Ainge was, it was baseball and basketball, and depending on who he got drafted by, sort of like a John Elway type of thing. So, all right, that was a good one, son. All right, we're going to move on here while Sam's looking up the BYU 80, whatever it is, Danny Ainge's. You think about it, who was all that through BYU? You look at those guys, and you're like Jim McMahon, Steve Young, Ty Detmer, Jimmer Frenette, Danny Ainge. I mean, producing players. All right.
I mean, they went to the Elite Eight that year, so
yeah, that's what I thought.
He was a 4-year All-American or 4-time All-American.
Yeah, he was a good basketball player,
yeah.
Obviously. Got to be, right? All right, so we're going to move on to our big game breakdown where Sam's going to give you the offensive and defensive keys for the Ohio State Buckeyes to win. Carly's going to do the same thing, but only for Notre Dame to win. And I'm just going to give you some breakdowns, some of the recent games, some injuries, and what to look for here. So I'm going to go ahead and start real quick. So Notre Dame, they're 14-1, and Ohio State is 13-2. I mean, obviously, if you're just going to base solely on records, you give that to Notre Dame. The spread is Ohio State by 8.5, so give that to Ohio State. Recent games, Notre Dame, in the playoffs there, IU, Georgia, and Penn State, whereas Ohio State was Tennessee, Oregon, and Texas. I think that favors Ohio State. And now for the season stuff, points per game. Notre Dame is ranked 6th in the nation at 37 points a game, and Ohio State is at 35.8 points per game, and they're ranked 12th. So check mark Notre Dame. Offensive yards per game. Notre Dame's ranked 53rd at 405.1 yards per game. Ohio State has the edge at 423.3 yards per game. That's 30th in the nation. So it's passing yards per game. Notre Dame has 140 or 194 to Ohio State's 265. So Ohio State gets the edge. Rushing, Notre Dame has the big edge there at 210 versus 163. And then the defensive rank, Notre Dame is ranked 2nd in the nation. Ohio State is 1st in the nation. Points per game allowed, Notre Dame is ranked 2nd at 14.3. Ohio State's 1st at 12.2. Turnover margins, Notre Dame ranks 5th with a plus 17. Ohio State is tied for 44th with a plus 4. So, I've got some questions and stuff as we go along with this, but before I do that, you guys go ahead, Sam, break down the keys, offensive, defensive keys for Ohio State to be victorious and raise their 9th national championship.
So the first key for Ohio State, it's actually going to be on the defensive side of the ball. I think it's the most important thing for them to do all game, and that's to turn Riley Leonard into a passer. I think if they let Notre Dame run, either running back or let Riley Leonard run, it's not going to end well for them. If they let that allows Notre Dame to control time of possession and just beat up on their defensive line. And we've seen how Ohio State can maybe fold a little bit when they get pushed around, a la Michigan. So I think if they contain the run game and turn Riley Leonard into a passer, that's their number one key. Outside of that, everything else is kind of a little bit cliche, win the turnover battle, obviously. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Don't commit any stupid penalties. Don't miss kicks, stuff like that. Offensively, though, I think Jeremiah Smith is going to be keyed in. So Ibuka and Tate are going to have big games for him. And I think they're going to have to look for him early and often and almost use Jeremiah Smith as very similar to what they did in the last round. It's almost a decoy. He didn't really do too much in the last game. So I think very similar game plan is going to be needed here.
All right. Anything else?
No.
No. All right,
No.
Carly, what does the Fighting Irish have to do to become victorious and raise their 9th national championship?
They hopefully have studied the Michigan-Ohio State game and know basically every play that was called and every microsecond of that game, because they basically have to put on. And it'd be great if they put on the Michigan helmet as well, because then Ohio State would piss down their pants and the and they
put on the winged helmet.
Yeah, exactly.
Come out
with the Notre Dame uniform, but the Michigan helmet on or something. So they have to use the Michigan playbook. They have to win the line of scrimmage both offensively and defensively. They have to stop the run. And in that game, Michigan ran for 172 yards and Ohio State ran for 77. Ohio State's run game is good when they win. So they have to Notre Dame has to channel that and try to win the run game for that. They need to win the turnover battle because pound for pound, Ohio State's a better team. So Notre Dame's going to need a little bit of luck / play, make some plays and get some turnovers. Will Howard is definitely prone to some bad interceptions. And so you're going to have to force him into doing that. And so the Notre Dame defense has got to figure out how to do that. Then they got to turn those turnovers into points. If they get a couple red zone interceptions and they don't do anything with it, well, that's not going to help them. They got to, against Penn State, they had that, massive turnover towards the very end of the game. And that happened like the 45-yard line of Notre Dame. Or Penn State, actually. So they were already basically in position to score. So those are the kind of turnovers they need to get. And then I have, they got to have success on first down to control the clock. If Notre Dame's in 2nd and 10, 2nd and 9 over and over and over and over, they're going to struggle. They need to be in 2nd and 5, 2nd and 6, 2nd and 4s over and over. So they got it. Jeremiah Love's got to have a big game. He's got a bad knee. So they need him. Hopefully that he's in better shape than he was a week ago. Mitchell Evans, the tight end, needs to have a big game. And Riley Leonard's got to, if he throws the ball 40 times, they're in trouble. So he's got to use his legs, good running quarterback. And basically use, the second half Penn State attack where he ran the ball and he, to get in those shorter second downs and shorter third downs and things. So there we go.
All right. I do have a couple of questions for you. But before, there are some key injuries, first for Notre Dame. Knapp, the right tackle, is out. They got a redshirt freshman who is going to play. They had another guy who was injured, another offensive guard who was injured, but he is going to play. So it just depends on how well his ankle. And then for Ohio State, JTT, how is that ankle, right? I mean, I know he came back after, when he got injured in the Texas game, but he really didn't. He wasn't explosive like he normally is. So those are some injuries that we need to be watching. The X factor. Well, let me ask you this: who do you trust more, Riley Leonard or Will Howard?
I don't trust either of them, honestly. I trust them about as well as each of them can throw the football. So I guess Will Howard's a little bit better, but I think he's only a little bit better because he's got better receivers.
Right.
So I
agree.
I don't know. I really think they're kind of the same dude. So I just don't. I guess Will Howard just because he does have the better receivers.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, if Will Howard throws the ball 35 times, at least he's throwing it to 2 NFL receivers, if at least. Whereas if Riley Leonard's throwing 35 times, he's he doesn't.
They're down 20.
He doesn't have those weapons.
They're down 20 exactly. Yeah. But if Riley Leonard throws it 12 times and he's running the ball 25 times.
No, that means they're controlling possession. They're probably up.
And then Will force some things, and we've seen that happen. All right, another question for you guys. Notre Dame's secondary versus Ohio State's receivers. Who do you got?
Oh,
well, I mean, again, pound for pound, I'd have Ohio State receivers that are, they're NFL guys. Notre Dame's corner or defensive backs are pretty good. I mean, as a collective group, but they do. I know they have at least one guy that's injured, maybe 2 guys that are injured from that. So, So that's Notre Dame's one, maybe number one problem is the guys they got injured. I mean, they have a pretty major list of guys. So, and just Riley, I think his name's Riley Mills, the defensive lineman who was their sack leader, is out as well. So, they got some issues going on there.
But he's been out. I mean, he was out Penn State game.
Just Penn State, though.
Yeah. But they won. Okay. Can Ohio State's defense stop or contain Notre Dame's rushing attack?
They can, because it's not Michigan. I mean, I know Crawley was making a joke about it, but if they showed up instead of gold they had on maize, I don't know. I think there's some sort of mental block there. I really do. But outside of that, I think they can, and I think they will.
Okay. Another one. So which coach will not buckle after the first punch from the opposing team?
I don't know that question, but if you're asking which coach is better, Marcus Freeman's a better coach.
Yeah, pretty much. Like who's not going to choke in the?
I mean, we've seen Ryan Day panic. I don't know. I've seen Marcus Freeman,
that's what it means.
Lose and not have great coach games, but I've never seen him panic. I've watched Ryan Day panic and literally piss his pants.
All right, and then the last one, the X factor. What do you have as the X factor in this game?
I mean, I don't have a player. I said it when I was Keys. It's turnovers for sure.
Okay.
So, in the Michigan game, Ohio State had a couple, some bad turnovers. Notre Dame in the Penn State Notre Dame game, what pushed them across the finish line was turnovers. So that, to me, they win the turnover battle, they're in the game. If they lose the turnover battle, it's probably a blowout.
Okay. Sam?
For me, it's actually on Notre Dame. I'm blanking on the guy's name right now, but their safety. What's his name?
Xavier Watts.
Yeah, Xavier Watts. He's the X factor for me, just because he's going to help stop the two-headed attack run, and he's also going to have to clean up any miscues by the corners on those three receivers. So if he balls out and looks like a first-round pick, I like Notre Dame's chances. But if he's just an average player, just kind of another dude out there, it's not going to be great for Notre Dame.
I've got one for each team, and then I got a wild card X factor. So for Notre Dame is the offensive line play. Can they control the line of scrimmage with their backups in there? Time of possession, run the ball, those type of things. With Jeremiah Love, who's only 80%, can they do that? For Ohio State, I think Caleb Downs, right? He's all over the field, but they brought him down in the box a little bit. He made some key stops in against Texas's running game. Is he going to be able to do that with Notre Dame? And also, is he going to be able to get a big punt return, flip the field here and there? And then the wild card X factor is, how is Ryan Day going to respond and react when he sees Lou Holtz on the sideline there? Because how Ryan Day and Lou Holtz, those kind of things going back and forth. Is he going to be focused on Lou, or is he going to be focused on the game? That's your X. That's your big thing.
Is Lou Holtz going to be there?
He put out a Twitter, because I know he's in a wheelchair because he had hip surgery. He goes, guess I got to show up now.
I mean, his bedtime's like 5 o'clock.
Well,
so
but
I don't know. Is he going to be asleep on the sideline, or is he going to actually be there?
No, he's going to be rolling up down the sideline.
If Lee Corso can waddle his way out to make the picks or whatever, then Lou Holtz can make it to the Notre Dame championship game.
He's gonna roll up and down the sideline.
Literally, a guy walking as a stroke victim, walking and talking, and when he's having a stroke on stage, then I think Lou Holtz can make it. So,
all right. So there you have it. There's predictions. Let's go real quick. Crawley.
Go ahead, Crawley. Go ahead.
Unfortunately, I'm going to predict Ohio State's going to win. I think it'll be closer than I think they'll be less than 8.5 points. I'm going to put faith in Marcus Freeman that he can come up with a game plan to keep it at least close. So I'll say Ohio State wins 24-20.
Yep. Sam.
I've got Ohio State as well. A little lower scoring than Crawley. I I think Notre Dame is going to do a really good job with time of possession, so it's going to limit Ohio State's possessions. But I still have Ohio State 20-13.
We all can't agree on Ohio State, so I'm going to go Notre Dame. That's who I wanted to go with. That's who I picked at the very beginning of this thing to win it all, and I'm sticking with Notre Dame. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think they're going to control the time of possession, and I think they're going to fluster Will Howard and Ryan Day and Chip Kelly. So there you have it, folks. Tune in next week, see who's right, and also listen for our show. We're going to have a special show next week. It's going to be our first episode of Time Machine, where we're going to review the 81-82 Bengals Super Bowl season, because it happened on January 24th, 1982. So we're going to throw it back to review that and talk about how the city, just the whole season of the Bengals there. So you don't want to miss that. For Charlie and Sam, this is Dave. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful Martin Luther King holiday and great week. Take care.
See you.
See you later.